Chris, how do I prevent muscle loss when I'm dieting? Now, this is a really common question, and it's also a really good question because a lot of people do struggle with this when they're looking to lose body fat and get in better shape. Now, I want to start off by saying that there is a massive difference between, those that lose weight and those that lose body fat. We've got the weight loss camp, we've got the fat loss camp. Now, if we're just looking to lose weight and we don't really care where it's come from, you're not going to be very happy with your physique. This is things like Weight Watchers that just get you to jump on the scales each week, hope that there's a loss there. You're not going to see much change in your physique because if you're just losing weight and you don't really care where it comes from, well, you're most likely going to be losing muscle mass, and fat at the same time. So yeah, you're going to lose a little bit of belly fat potentially, but not that much. And you're also going to start to become skinny fat because, well, you're going to lose muscle too. And muscle is something that's hard to build. It takes time, you have to be patient. So we don't want to be burning through it just so that we can see the scales drop. And if we look at the fat loss camp, well, this is the camp that you should be in. This is where we're preserving lean mass, if not building lean mass, which, we can still do when we're in a calorie deficit. This means that you're going to improve your body composition. You're going to drop weight, but you're also going to lose body fat percentage as well. Increase muscle percentage, lose body fat percentage, and actually improve your body composition. So today I'm just going to talk to you about a few simple strategies that you can use right now, go away and implement to make sure that you actually are in the fat loss camp and improving your physique week on week, and you're not getting skinny, you're not losing muscle, and making this process a lot harder, than it needs to be. So the first thing we need to focus on is our protein intake. Now, protein is the king of macronutrients. It's the most important one, especially from a body composition perspective, because if we aren't getting enough protein within our diet, we're potentially going to lose muscle, and we're not going to give our body what it needs to be able to, repair from training and actually get stronger. And protein synthesis, which is effectively our body's ability to, build lean muscle after breaking it down during a training session. So it's super important that we get the right amount of protein in. Now, for most people, I'd recommend that you eat around 1 gram of protein per pound of your body weight. Now, if that seems like quite a lot and you're starting your journey, maybe a little bit higher on the scales, well, you can just do 1 gram per your ideal body weight that you would like to be. Okay, so let's say you're a 220 pound guy and you'd like to be at around 180, you think? We'll try and eat 180 grams of protein per day. This is going to be an easier target for you to aim for to get in. So enough protein is a super important thing to make sure that you're sticking to when it comes to this. And this is every single day. You can't carry protein over and say, I'm going to save it for this day and I'm going to eat more protein at the weekend. This is something that has to be consumed as regularly as possible, okay? Our body is either going to be in an anabolic or a catabolic state. So we have to make sure that we're increasing anabolism and eating protein as regularly really as we can. Now, the timings of it, well, it's not so important in a fat loss phase, but at least at the end of every day, you want to be within kind of 10 grams of your protein intake. So this is the first thing you need to focus on. The second thing, well, it's making sure that you're not putting yourself in too much of an aggressive deficit. The days of just eating salads and cutting out all your carbs, well, they need to go in the bin because this is, again, not going to lead to an improvement in your physique. Food is fuel, especially when you're dieting. There's some guys that we give their nutrition plan, some girls that we give their nutrition plan to at the start, and they look at it and think, geez, there's quite a lot of food because the food quality is good, the food volume is good, so it feels like it's quite a lot of food. And the reality is we actually want to be eating as much food as we possibly can at the start of our journey while still losing body fat. We want to get the most out of the least to begin with because, well, inevitably at some point you are going to have to bring your calories down a little bit. So we need to actually try and eat as much food as we can, fuel training, fuel performance, fuel energy at work from day-to-day life. You're going to feel so much better, and it means that you can actually somewhat enjoy dieting at the start. It doesn't have to be that miserable. So you ideally want to put yourself in, I'd say, around kind of like a 500 calorie deficit. So that's about 500 calories under your maintenance. Now, I'm going to leave a calorie calculator down in the comments. You can go and head over to FitLab's website and use that calorie calculator, and it's just going to spit out some numbers for you at the start in terms of, realistically the starting point that it would put you in to put you in a moderate calorie deficit, which is going to help you lose body fat but not burn through muscle as well. Because if you eat too low calories, firstly, it's going to just end up being a crash diet, which you're probably going to give up to very soon, but you're also just at risk of just losing scale weight really quickly. Now, ideally, we want to be losing around 1% of our body weight per week, okay? So if you're a 100 kilo guy, you're looking at about 1 kilo of body fat per week. Maybe a little bit more at the start, as you can naturally lose body fat a bit faster to begin with, but after that, around 0.5 to 1% is, realistically what you should be looking for. And if you think that seems like quite a slow amount of progress, then, you know, maybe getting in amazing shape isn't for you, because it does take time. It's not something that just happens overnight. And if you just follow some crash diet that sees you drop in, you know, a ridiculous amount of weight in a short time frame, well, you're probably going to gain the weight back. And this isn't about just seeing the scales drop as quick as possible. This is recomposition. This is actually building a good, lean, athletic physique, which comes down to not losing weight too fast. So this is the second thing you need to make sure you get right. Get your calories in place, consume enough protein. You're already going to be on top of this in terms of the nutritional side of things. Third thing is making sure that you're obviously training weights and you're doing that at least 3 days per week, okay? You have to give your body a reason to hold on to muscle, which makes sense. If you're smashing the pavements, doing lots of running, or you're going to the gym and you're jumping on the Stairmaster or going to your favorite spin class, this might seem like it's working in terms of, you know, you sweat a lot and you maybe burn a lot of calories, but in reality, you're burning through muscle as well, because our body is only gonna hold on to lean mass and lean tissue if it has a reason to. When we lift weights, we are telling our body that we need to get stronger. We need to adapt. We need to adapt to the stimulus. We need to adapt to the demand that our body is being placed in, right? It makes sense back in our ancestral days. We have to make sure we're getting stronger. The body is a very clever thing. Lifting weights by breaking down muscle tissue every single time you train, what happens is your body then has to grow back and get stronger, right? This is how we protect and don't lose muscle. So you have to make sure you're lifting weights. And even you girls that are watching this right now, even more important to you, because sometimes it's you guys that think that lifting weights is going to make you bulky and you don't actually then do it, which again, it's not going to lead to you getting the physique that you want. If you want that bikini body, you need to get yourself in the gym and you need to get used to being out of your comfort zone and, you know, going and lifting weights, getting on the squat rack, pushing your deadlifts. You know, the guys aren't really bothered by what you're doing. So go in there and get the job done, and it's the most worthwhile thing you're going to do. It's how you maximize your time in the gym. In terms of how often you train, I say as a kind of rule of thumb, the minimum amount that you want to train if you're looking to build an epic physique and hold on to as much muscle as possible would be 3 times. You know, we've had some guys and girls get in amazing shape from just doing 3 sessions per week. You know, the training split is built to them. We're getting the right volume, the right frequency, you know, so it works. Ideally, if you're looking to really optimize, I'd probably aim for around 4 times. An absolute higher end of the spectrum would be, you know, 5 times, but you don't necessarily need to be hitting that top end unless you really feel you've got the time and, you know, you really love the gym. And the goal with your training isn't to go in there and sweat loads and, you know, burn loads of calories and come out feeling like you can't walk. That's not the goal. The goal is for you to just get stronger. Each session, get stronger. Try and improve on what you did last week. How can I get more weight out? How can I get another rep out on what I did previously? That's it. You know, it doesn't need to be this really hard, demanding session. And it is a case of training smart rather than training hard. Just get an extra rep out than what you did the week before. And then maybe the next week you can get another rep out. Now, obviously there becomes a point where you're not just increasing week on week on week on week. I mean, imagine if that was actually the case. Some of the records in the world right now would be crazy in powerlifting. That's not how it works. The more that you train and the more advanced that you get, the less progress you're going to make. But that's just the name of the game. The next thing I want you to focus on is your sleep and your recovery. Now, this is one of the most important things when it comes to protecting lean muscle. If you're not sleeping, your body's not recovering, our body's hormone production is going to be massively swayed and we're not going to preserve muscle. You know, sleep, several studies have shown that just by getting more sleep, you're going to burn more body fat and you're going to preserve more lean tissue. This is when our body recovers. This is when our hormones replenish. This is when we release growth hormone, which is again going to help us build muscle and preserve muscle tissue. So you have to make sure that you're getting at least 7 to 9 hours of sleep every single night if you're really looking to optimize your ability to burn through body fat, hold on to lean tissue, and improve your body composition. And the last thing that I want you to think about when it comes to not losing muscle in a dieting phase, which again, often gets overlooked, and that is controlling our body's stress and how we deal with stress day to day. Now, chronic stress has so many adverse effects on us. And one of those things is that if we're producing too much cortisol throughout the day, then, well, we're not going to lose body fat. And we're also probably going to lose muscle as well. So your ability to control your stress, control your HRV, which effectively, again, is a metric we can use to look at stress, especially if you use things like Oura rings or, you know, even on your Apple Watch, you can start to see if you are in a good state day to day and you're not stressed out and you're not making this journey a lot harder than it needs to be. If you feel like you're a little bit stressed, if you feel like that is something that you struggle with, you know, you've got a really busy job, family, you've got a lot going on, you've got a lot of responsibilities, well, a few easy ways in which you control that would be as follows. The first thing would be, you know, maybe look at meditation. And you might be thinking, well, I haven't got time for that. This was me. I used to think that as well. You know, never saw myself doing meditation. But now doing that for just 10 minutes per day, my ability to stay calm in situations that do cause me stress sometimes has completely changed. Got a much more calm outlook on life, and my HRV has improved. My body's ability to deal with stress has improved simply because I take time out my day to just slow down in the morning. You know, before I check my phone, I just take some time for myself and actually start to meditate and just literally stick something on YouTube and, you know, follow that, nothing crazy. The second thing you can do is journaling. And again, you might be looking at this and thinking, I haven't got time for writing down things on paper and my thoughts down. This was me again, but what I've seen now is that from simply just spending some time every single evening, you know, writing down even my plan for the next day, it just releases anxiety. I know what I'm doing. I'm writing down some of my thoughts, what's gone well, what hasn't gone well, what do I need to improve on. Simple things like this, they completely switch your mindset and change the way that we look at life and our ability to control stress and anxiety. And if we're in a constant state of stress and anxiety all the time, well, our results are not going to be good. You're not going to feel good mentally. You're not probably going to want to go and train, and your ability to even stick to your diet is going to be massively compromised. So just to summarize, these are the most important things that you need to focus on when it comes to not losing muscle when you're dieting, and making sure that you're doing this process correctly and actually improving your physique. Making sure you're hitting enough protein, making sure you're hitting the right amount of calories and you're not starving yourself and being too aggressive with your deficit, making sure you're lifting weights and you're doing this kind of at least 3 times per week, making sure you're getting enough sleep, an adequate amount of good quality sleep every night, and lastly, making sure that you are able to deal with stress and you have a good routine in place that stops you from getting yourself in a state of anxiety and chronic stress, which is going to hold you back from reaching your goals. So as always, guys, I hope you found this video super useful. If you have, make sure you hit the subscribe button, make sure you hit the bell notification for future fitness content, which I'm going to be posting very soon. And as always, I'm going to catch you in the next video.